I wanted to talk to you because what you've done with SDR Chronicles is exactly what I preach and talk and tell people every day when it comes to being successful in the 21st century, right? To kick this off, I want you to tell people who you are and what the SDR Chronicles is.
Awesome. So my name is Morgan J. Ingram. I'm a sales development manager at Terminus, and I'm also the host of the SDR Chronicles. So as Keenan was talking about, my YouTube channel is strictly focused on motivation, tactics, and tips for sales development reps as I was an SDR. So I'm a sales development manager now, but before, for a year, I was a sales development rep. I was in the trenches, I was doing the cold calls, I was doing the emails. So what I did is I just documented that entire process and showed people like, hey, here are my wins, here are my losses, here's some like success stories, here's some things I did wrong, and you basically amplify on that. So that's kind of where I just documented it and showed like true, like actual value with that, and that's how I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm at now.
All right, so let's talk about the point, right? So was the Terminus gig your first gig?
Terminus job was my first job right out of college. That was it.
Okay.
First job.
So let me walk people through this nice and slow. How long have you been at Terminus?
So I've been at Terminus for a year and 3 months.
And how long have you been a sales manager?
2 months.
Okay. So your timeline from nobody, zero to hero, is 13 months. You went from an SDR to managing SDRs in 13 months.
Correct.
How much would you attribute that to your commitment to SDR Chronicles?
A lot. And the reason I say that is because I was, not only was I in it at work, I was in it outside of work. So it became the embodiment of who I was. So when I was doing sales development role, I was going home and I was reading about sales development. And then while I was reading about sales development, I was also talking about sales development. And when I was talking with it on my videos, I also was bringing guests about sales development. So I was learning at a very, very, very fast pace. Because when I was showing up to work, yeah, that's the 9 to 5. But like outside of that, I was still learning. So I accredit a lot of everything that I've done so far to the SDR Chronicles, because it of course it got me out there so people could see that I know what I was talking about, but it also helped me say the stuff that I was doing, and it amplified my learning processes and it amplified my skills.
So what you basically just said is, because you put yourself out there and went public, you were like, look, I better know what I'm talking about.
You have to. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't do, is by putting yourself out there, you now have to step up to the plate. Like if you go on the internet and say like, hey, I want to be a millionaire, everyone's watching you now, right? So when you say things like that, you have to be able to show up every single day, right? It's like when Kobe's like, hey, I want to be the best basketball player of all time. When he was like 15, everybody's watching you now. So you're either going to show up and actually own up to your words and be like, that guy was the greatest, or you're not going to show up and like, dude, that guy was a loser. So like my whole thing is that like when I started this, I was like, I have to show up.
I gotta show up
in the office and outside of the office.
I gotta show up. I gotta represent.
Guaranteed.
I gotta be a 1%er. I gotta play large, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're older. What are you, 25?
24.
You probably won't know the answer to this question, but if the internet didn't exist, and this was 1997 instead of 2017, do you think you would have been able to be as successful as you are now?
No.
End of question.
I would probably still be in my role. And if I started something like this, I probably would have been asked to leave.
Okay. So what is it different about today? What is different about the 21st century and what we have available to us that is making the game easier for those who want to who want to show up and make it work? Accessibility.
I think every single person that you want to reach right now is accessible. Like, and Keenan could probably go in the story. Like, I reached out to Keenan through LinkedIn. It didn't cost me money to do that. Now, back in the day, you can find someone's email address. They didn't have LinkedIn. Like, you probably had to show up at their office, and if you showed up at their office, they have 2-3 assistants, and you're definitely not getting it, right? So it's like, it's impossible. So, but now it's possible. So I knew that like if I started something like this and I caught certain people's attention and certain people's eyes, that it would go ahead and just accelerate and blow up by itself. But 20 years ago, there's no way that would have happened, because I would have to know key people, and to get to those key people, I would have had to do a lot more work than I'm doing right now. So I knew that like this is an opportune time for a lot of people. If you want to do something great, like talk about your truths and then be consistent about talking about your truths.
So you said something really key. You said, look, I get their attention. So every time you get someone's attention, you're building reach. Right? So I talk about that not taught, the importance of reach. How, if you had to grade or describe the importance of reach in your own personal development, in your career to where you are today, how would you describe it in its level of importance?
It's the most important thing. Reach is the most important thing. And when you do reach, I think you also have to be personally developed as well, right? You don't want to reach and then have a conversation with someone and then you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know, right? You don't want to do that. So of course you have to have some background and some presence of what you are trying to do, but at the same time there are going to be things that you just don't know. Like there's some things I still don't know, and some people are like, hey, you need to do this, and I'm like, you're right, like I'm still learning, but also I'm also confident of the stuff that I'm saying is true because I've done these things and I've seen success for them. So that makes me 1,000 times more confident than someone who actually hasn't done it at all. And so I actually believe that the personal development of reach is important because that's credibility tokens that you have.
If you earn the reach the right way,
Correct.
It's credibility tokens.
Right, not negativity reach where it's like I reach out to certain people and everyone that's like at that level is like, oh wow, that dude's a loser, right? You don't want that, but
no, don't be a clown. Don't be a clown.
Don't reach out to people and say like, hey, I want to talk to you, and then like you don't have a reason or you don't know, but actually what you're talking about, make it relevant reach. So like, you know, when I go to events like this, like the majority of people know who I am because of the reach that I've been able to do it in the right way.
So rather than reaching out, when we talk about reach, let's be clear, we're not talking about reaching out and touching people, right?
No.
We're talking about creating some type of value, some content that brings enough value to people that they reach out to you.
Correct.
Right? They know who you are, they're following you.
Yeah.
And when you have all of those people doing that, that audience, if you will, that creates opportunities.
Right.
So what was your strategy, right? So you decided to start this SDR. What is it you want people to walk away with? What is your strategy to driving a good show?
The strategy was to basically be as practical as possible. I knew that every single show that I did, like somebody has to have a takeaway to like I can do that like right after I watch this. So my first 20 videos were me kind of talking for 3 minutes and saying like, hey, this is what I learned in my role last week. Hey, this is what I learned in my role this week. This is a tactic that I used like 2 weeks ago and I actually got a demo. So I basically, everything that I was saying, it was takeaways and like, this is how you can do it. I had some why videos, I had some motivational stuff because that's who I am as a person, but I also wanted to get practical and be like, hey, look, like if you actually send this email response out there and no thanks, like you're gonna get this response and it's gonna accelerate that, right? Or like, hey, look, if you call this person and they say this to you, you need to say this, and that's actually gonna turn into something. So I knew how I was gonna get awareness was by doing that, and by doing that, people were messaging me and saying like, hey, I watched SDR Chronicle number 3. At this point in the video, I actually gained a lot of credibility here and I gained a lot of value. And now I actually use that in my sales team and I actually use it in my sales process and I got results. That's what you want.
Boom, right?
You want results. You don't want to be like, oh, that guy's really energetic. It's like, great, I know that, but like, are you actually getting results? And then that's when I knew like I have to keep doing videos like that.
You chose to target SDRs. Tell me why you chose to target SDRs.
Because I was an SDR.
Keep going, baby.
It's simple. I think people make things too complex. Like I was talking to my VP of sales, and she was like, "Yo, the SDR Chronicles is great."
But that's Tony Bennett,
Tony
girl.
Bennett,
We know
Bennett.
Tony.
Yeah, Tony. And she was like, I was like, well, yeah, I have to do the SDR Chronicles because I am an SDR. That resonates to you. If like, oh, that person's doing exactly what I'm saying, and he's talking, and he has this success, I resonate with that person. But if I started the AE Chronicles and started talking about, hey, I closed this amount of deals, and like I've done this in the sales process, you're gonna be like, who are you? You're not even in the AE role. You've never closed a deal. You're irrelevant, and now I've actually lost credibility in the long run. Like, and now when I actually say things, I have no credibility, and the winners just see me as a loser. And now I have to actually change that and mold that, and that's tough. So I chose SDRs because I was an SDR. So whatever you're currently doing right now, you just need to speak to it, and that audience will resonate with you because that's truth and that's real. And people want real and raw, and people don't want fake.
All right, so I find, and I want you to drop knowledge on these people, right? Because I find that I wrote the book on how to be successful in the 21st century, and people are buying it, but people aren't doing it, right? I just don't see enough people. I talk to people all the time, and I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it, and I go to LinkedIn once in a while, and no, I don't post anything. What's the advice you give to someone in today's world who wants to grow their career? What's the advice you give them?
Is it really important to you?
That's a question. What advice?
That's a question, and then I'm gonna go into it.
All
so,
right.
Is it really important to you? And so my advice to you is that like you got to figure out long term, what are you really actually looking to do? Like, are you just saying that you want to be a thought leader but you don't know why? You just think it's cool? You will never be successful if you just think it's cool. So my advice to people is like, find out what that long term goal is. Like, what are you striving for? Like, what do you want to be? Is it a VP of sales? Is it a CEO? Is it like you want to have an exit? And then once you find that, now all you do is reverse engineer or backtrack. So it's like, what do I need to do to get there? And so now it comes really small, as in like daily habits. So maybe it's you need to create a video every single day.
But it's content. It is content, right? It's not just sticking to yourself, right? You're operating the assumption that you can go not create content never and you'll be able to make it?
You could, but it's going to be a lot harder.
Okay, a lot harder.
It's going to be a lot harder. There's obviously successful people who can do it without content, but it's going to take you longer. I will say that I'm creating content because I'm connecting with the right people, so now I can ask certain things, and I'm gonna leapfrog in front of everybody else. Because if you're just still trying to grind and make connections, I'm already over here, and I've made those connections to actually make that move. Like, you may have the move, but you don't have the right connections. Yeah. So my whole thing is, like, you got to think about long term. Like, what's your overarching goal? Or, like, also like to call it the definite chief aim. Like, what is that for you? What are you trying to accomplish? And then backtrack. And then now you need to take daily actions to get there. Like, that in itself should motivate you, because now I just made it super easy for you. Daily actions every single day, create a schedule. These are things I need to do. And then if you only focus on the process instead of the end result, then you actually will be successful. Like, my whole focus isn't like, what do I need to do daily for the SDR Chronicles or daily in my habitual lifestyle, my habits to be successful. And that's all I have to focus on. Everything else will happen, right? And if I keep doing the process, things just happen by osmosis. Instead of you wondering like, well, I don't have $1 million yet. Well, what did you do today? Nothing. Well, that's why you don't have $1 million yet, right? It's that type of process. It's that type of mindset when you actually focus on the path of the journey.
All right, my man. The practicality piece is real, because when you talk about practicality, you're talking about delivering value, right?
Value.
If you watch this, you will walk away with something. I'm giving you something. Look, most times we think about giving is like, here, I'll give you my phone. I'll give you $50, right?
Exactly.
But giving is more than just that. Giving is information. People pay for information every day, right?
Exactly.
So what you said is, look, I'm going to give this away. I'm going to give my knowledge away and what's worked for me, and hopefully it works for you.
Yep.
And what you start to realize is it worked for other people. And they were like, oh, so I want to come back. I got a deal because of Morgan, right?
Yeah.
I set up an appointment because of Morgan, right? So as this has been growing and growing, and I see it getting more popular, what are some of the biggest benefits that has happened? Like, what is the biggest benefits you've experienced and gotten from this? Obviously, besides your promotion.
Right. The promotion is really key. I think it's awareness. Awareness in the long run. I think at the end of the day, like, if you have a digital footprint, you're going to be able to make certain moves that most people won't be able to make. And even though I may not have as much experience as everyone else, I'll have a lot more awareness than most people. So that allows me to have conversations with people that, like, maybe they have 10 years of experience, but they can't talk to someone who they actually need to talk to. But because of my awareness, I can talk to people who maybe for 5-10 years people have been trying to talk to. And it allows me to actually get ahead of the curve, because with those people that I'm having conversations with, they've done life. They've been around for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're older people. So I'm like, hey, like, what do I need to do? And they're like, hey, look, you need to do these things so you can basically avoid all my missteps in 30 years. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is I'm actually like getting ahead of the curve, and my whole thing is that, like, I'm connecting with the right people.
You're getting access.
I'm getting access. I'm getting access to places that, like, are really hard to get. And these people are more open to have a conversation with me because they've seen that I've put in the work. And now there's basically like the common respect, common respect here, because it's like, okay, you've actually put in the work. So now I can have a conversation with you as a like-minded individual.
So I think one of the things that people don't talk about enough, like, yes, you're putting in the work, they know who you are, but I think one of the things that people don't talk about when it comes to creating content and it comes to creating that digital footprint is it invokes a little bit of trust, and it brings down the barrier of discomfort, because when we don't know something, by default, we're like, we're a little nervous, right? But if I've seen you on the SDR Chronicles, if I've read 10 of your blog posts, or I see you commenting on LinkedIn all the time, I have some inclination on who you are, so that when you approach me or I see you, that initial threat of the unknown doesn't exist, right? I say in the book, obscurity is the plague of the commoner, right, in the 21st century. So understanding that you don't have that, you don't bring that to the table. Give me one good story. Who is the one person or the one opportunity or whatever that SDR Chronicles has created for you that you don't think you would have got otherwise?
Okay, cool. So before I go to that, I want to ask you a question, and I can kind of explain exactly what you asked me. So how many people do you respond to that reach out to you and want your advice?
How many? It depends on how they reach out to me.
Right. What if they're still like, hey, Keenan, I love your stuff. I just want to talk to you for 15 minutes.
Usually, I don't. If they say, hey, Keenan, I'll go one step further. I actually wrote a blog post for this because I get people asking me to do stuff all the time. My emails flooded with, can you write a blog post for us? We'd love to have you in this. We'd love to ask you to do this, blah, 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 right? So now what I do is, and I've never heard of these people. Never heard of them. So now what I do is I have a blog post that I send, and it says, there's no excuse not to know me. Right? And so if if you reach out to me and I've never seen you comment on my blog post, if I've never seen you retweet my stuff on Twitter, if I've never seen you participate with me on LinkedIn, if I've never seen you anywhere and you're asking for something now, beat it. Beat it. I don't have time for you. But there are people, like there's one particular woman who hasn't asked for something, but I see it coming. She is commenting all over my blog.
She's there.
She's there. She's been there. She's coming.
Yeah.
She's been there for months though, and she's retweeting my stuff, and I'm like, okay, it's coming, and I'll give it to her. Because she's participating. So to answer your question, if I don't know them from creating their own stuff and I'm following them, then you had better be engaging with me long before you come and ask for that ask.
So I'm gonna go to my question. You said one person. My whole thing is that like it's been the area of mindset that I've now been able to attract. It isn't just one person. Like there are some conversations that are groundbreaking, but it's not just one person. It actually has just been the people I've been to connect with. Like I've having conversations with like VCs, having conversations with CEOs, thought leaders. Like that doesn't just happen.
You're sitting here talking on my show, right?
That's what I'm saying. That doesn't just happen. So that's what I'm saying. That like it's not just like, oh, this one person blew my mind, because every single person I talk to, I gain new perspective that I would never have gotten from someone else, maybe even in my own organization, just because it's different thought process. Like they have obviously experienced a lot in their life, and so now I'm a part of that. It's not like, who is this guy? It's like, we want to be a part of, like a Trish, like Keenan, like Jill Rowley, Jill Conrath. Like I've had conversations with these people, like John Barrows. I have John Barrows' number. I text him all the time. It's like that relationship just doesn't happen.
John Barrows is a punk.
But like what I'm saying is that like I think most people focus on like, I gotta meet this one person, but it's meeting those people who have the same mindset. Because then you start seeing consistent themes of success, and you realize like, oh wait, all these people hang out together. There's a reason. So now it's more so not one person. It's now I'm part of that like club now.
Ooh, access to the club.
That's how I feel.
Golden pass. Go, all right.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. As I've gotten that, of course, I continue to have to grow, right? But I brought enough value to where people are like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to talk to this guy, or like I'm willing to interview this guy.
Okay.
And that's what it's done for me.
This was Morgan J. Ingram, SDR Chronicles. Listen, people, the world has changed. It's the 21st century. The tools and systems are in place, and they require you to use them. As I've said before, and I will say again, the tell me economy is dead. We are now in the show me economy. You can't tell me what you did in the past. I don't want to hear it. Nobody wants it. Right. You can't tell me how good you are. No one wants to hear it. You need to show me, and the way you show me is I should be able to go to LinkedIn. I should be able to see what you know. I just don't want to read where you've been. I want to read your insight and how you manage salespeople. I want to see how you drive through objections. If you're an accountant, I want to see what your accounting values are and how you square the books. I don't give a shit. I want to see it. I want to see it in video. I want to see it in writing. I want to see it in blogs. I want to see it. I don't want to hear it. And same with the rest of the world. Yeah. If you can't be found moving forward, you fall into obscurity. And obscurity is the plague of the commoner in the 21st century. So listen to this man, follow SDR Chronicles if you're an SDR. You want to grow your career, start getting public, start creating content, and put yourself out there. It's the 21st century. Here's a man who went from 0 to hero in 13 months. That's the way you get it done.
Fast. And that, I mean, you wrapped it all up, but at the end of the day, like, that's it. Like, if you can be consistent, if you know what you're talking about and you're talking about truths, you will accelerate past everyone else, because I always think about like, what is everyone else not doing? No one's being consistent and actually creating content.
Few are, not no one. Few.
Well, I would just say not as an SDR. So that's why I said no one. But you are right, few. So that's a good correction there. But you have to focus in on that, because it's like, if you can do that, then like you're going to stand out, because that's a person who actually wants the success. And not just talking about success.
And so if you want motivation, here it is right now. He was the first person to start creating content as for SDRs by an SDR, right? So think about that. So he's first to market, so he's going to grow faster than you. The next person that comes in to compete with him, they'll move pretty quick, but eventually everybody's going to be doing it. So if you wait, every day you wait, you're going to get into a more and more crowded and competitive space, and it's going to be harder. Make the jump now. Be the first in your space to do it.
Jump off the diving board, get in the deep end. You can figure out how to swim.
Bingo, bango. Thank you very much, baby.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Good stuff, man.
For sure.
All right, y'all. Peace. We're out.
See you guys.